Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Big Picture. Before we get started, make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram at _The Big Picture. Today we're talking about Mandalorian. If you don't know what Mandalorian is, it's pretty much Dog the Bounty Hunter but in space. So before we get into it...
Okay.
Sorry, Lewis. Before we get into it, I'll introduce our esteemed panel. If this panelist were a character in Mandalorian, he'd be the speeder pilot from episode 1. Because you've all forgotten about him, you forgot he existed, he's irrelevant to the plot, nobody cares about him, it's Jack. Jack, how are you?
That should just get me back from the wheezy hang in it.
Yeah. Jack, I got
Very
two
good.
questions for you. I got two questions for you. First of all, turn up to these recordings. Not wanted, because I have waited a month to get you back for that.
Mate, I get told it every day in life, though. It's something you just get used to. Don't worry about it.
All right, well, fair enough. Our next panelist asked me to introduce him by saying it was his girlfriend's birthday yesterday, and he's written a short poem for him. So, Adam, the stage is yours.
No, I didn't. But hi. Hello.
I thought you were being serious.
wait.
Jesus, I was like, oh god, that's not as bad as Stewart simping over Robin.
What was good about that? What was good was that when he said it was his girlfriend's birthday yesterday, I was like, "Who's that?" Stewart. Like, I forgot it was me.
Well, that doesn't bode well.
I know. He's already grounded. In the last episode, Adam said to me, "Oh, Rhys, how's your movie getting on?" I had to improvise some role on the James Bond movie, and then after the thing, he was like, "Oh, did you like how I mentioned that?" I was like, "Yeah, no bother." So I've been teeing this one up since last week, and then what is it? No, I've not actually done that. That's poor from you, Adam. Where was the improv?
I mean, I don't know. My poetry is just not the best. I didn't want to let the podcast down. We'd lose listens, I think, if I started giving ad-libbing poems on the spot.
It's all right. Everyone's already clicked off. Next, we've got he was last week's Big Picture champion, and he's now the People's Champion, taking both titles off of me, and I'm not salty about it. Stewart, it's good to have someone that can compete at my level. How are you?
I'm good. I was racking my brains to see if I'd upset you in any way that would give you cause to give me a big banging intro, but thanks for that. Yeah, good stuff.
No, it's just good to have someone that can compete, with my intellect. So, our next panelist is... What's that noise? You hear that?
Sound like a pole door.
What's going on?
I did, but
our next panelist has come back from the
God.
of hell. Oh my god! Oh no, he's come back from the dead. Oh, it's the under. Oh no, it's just Lewis. Lewis, how does it feel to come back from the dead?
I'm here to raise hell.
Oh.
No, I'm recovered from COVID. I came, swinging a chair, beat the crap out of it, and I'm back.
Nice, that's what I like. Lewis, got a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
What's it like to die? Is there life after death, or is religion a joke and we should all kill ourselves because there's no point in life?
The latter of the two. To be honest, everything went black, darkness, and yeah, you just cease to exist, and you wake up like 2 weeks later, and I'm like, oh, I'm cured. So yeah, just give up on life. It has no meaning. We're all going to die horrible, painful death. So let's talk about the Mandalorian.
Okay,
Trump was right.
Off the news already. You just have to see it.
We're already cancelled.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned, today we're covering The Mandalorian. If you don't know what Mandalorian is, like I said, it's Dog the Bounty Hunter but in space. No, well, I'm just kidding. It's actually a very good show. Basically, The Mandalorian are a group of anonymous people who go only by the name Mandalorian, they go and collect bounties. We follow one Mandalorian who's so good at collecting bounties that there are no jobs left for him that are worth the cost of the travel. So he goes to a private seller and accepts a job, flies off to some planet to get the bounty, except the bounty is Baby Yoda, and I'm sure you've all seen the memes. Oh, they were so bad. Anyway, moving on. So the bounty was Baby Yoda. He comes back and he gives the guy the baby Yoda. Initially, he's got no issue doing it, but eventually his conscience eats at him and he steals the baby Yoda back and flies away and hides to another planet. It starts a war on the home planet, and then he's then told to come back. They fight it out. There's a big war. They win the war. And then he's told by the leader of Mandalorian that he needs to return the baby Yoda to his home planet. I've kind of butchered the plot there, but the boys told me my Suicide Squad one was too long, so I try to shorten it down for you. So if you got any issues, get on at them. So yeah, it's actually a really good show. It's very entertaining. I would just it's based in the Star Wars universe, so I was wondering then, Stuart, does it live up to the Star Wars standard, or does it fall below it?
I'd say yes, but not always for the better. Production wise, it does, because the show looks incredible. Like from the set and the ship designs to how all the different aliens look, it's all fantastic. However, I feel like the dialogue lives up to the standards of Star Wars, which can mean at times it's really cheesy. I don't know if this is just me getting older, but every now and then, I catch myself rolling my eyes at some stupid line of dialogue that's just so ridiculous. Like, there was one character that offered somebody some soup, or something, and she was like, "Well, you're in luck, because I just took down a Gringy," or some shit, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, why does the dialogue have to have this stupid stuff in it? Like, I get because it's Star Wars, and it's not real, sorry, but it doesn't mean you have to have a made-up name for absolutely everything. I think that's one of the biggest problems I've had with Star Wars, especially in the past few years. It takes itself so seriously, and then all the hardcore fans take it so seriously as well. I mean, it's all nonsense. So yeah, I say it lives up to the standards of Star Wars, but like just Star Wars, not like modern television in general, which has seen like huge improvements over the past 10 years.
Well, that's an interesting point you make. Out of everyone here today, I'm the only one who's actually not seen Star Wars. I did try and watch it once, and I thought, I was half an hour in, and I was like, this is terrible. And the dialogue was something for me that I couldn't get on board with. I did find myself cringing at times when I watched this because of that. But I do think that is a huge factor of that is the fact that I didn't watch Star Wars when I was younger. I didn't get involved in it. I feel like I probably am best suited to answer this question, but I'm not a panelist, so I'll come to you, Adam. Do you think that you need to have watched Star Wars to enjoy Mandalorian? Because a lot of people who are listening today might not have actually watched Star Wars. So do you think you actually need to have watched Star Wars to enjoy this?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think you have to go in with an open mind. If you haven't seen Star Wars, I think you need it's like you say, because at times it is kind of stretching a wee bit and making everything up. But I think you have to go with an open mind, and I think you have to have a kind of appreciation for at least the kind of sci-fi genre. But I think that the writing is quite good and the characters are strong. I think you can just enjoy it. You don't need to get too caught up in it. Like, I'm someone who's a big fan of not only Star Wars but the expanded universe. I've played a lot of the games. I've read a lot of the comics, the books. So I know a lot about like, so there's like little hints and things that I enjoy, like bones thrown to me, like they'll be like, oh, I know what that is. That's cool. I'm glad I've seen that. But then I wouldn't think that if that wasn't there, or if I was someone who didn't know what that was, it wouldn't take away from my enjoyment. So I think it strikes a good balance between a kind of letting the long time fans appreciate it, and also it's got a lot of things for new fans who don't really know much about the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've never watched Star Wars, but when I did watch this, I kind of went in. I'd been a bit dreading it, really, when it was pitched. I think it was Stewart's idea. Let's do The Mandalorian for the new release of the second season coming out, which comes out tomorrow, or if you're listening to this, it's just come out last week on Disney+. When I did get around to watching it, the first 10 minutes, I was like, I'm just not going to enjoy this. And then I found myself watching all 8 episodes straight all the way through. So I don't know that you would need to have watched the Star Wars universe, or Star Wars films to enjoy it. But I do think that you're right in saying that it would help, it would benefit you to have watched them before, and I think you will appreciate it more when you've watched that. And as Stuart picked up on, it's not quite at the level maybe of modern television, but it compared to the Star Wars films, it does compete with them. And if you are a fan of the Star Wars universe, then you certainly would enjoy this. So, Jack, what in particular is it that you like about this series?
I think that what I like most is, well, it's what I kind of like most about Star Wars, I'd say recently, is that I'm not that big a fan of the big 6 movies and then the new trilogy that's came out as well. I've been a fan of the kind of the side stories. So like my favourite Star Wars movie is a Rogue One. I think that's like an absolute masterpiece. And I feel that even though this is set in the Star Wars universe, there isn't a lot of playing towards the actual what fans know Star Wars to be, like, you know, your lightsabers and your also there's elements of the Force use in this, but it's not played on a lot. It's its own narrative. Obviously we're going to get more that way into season 2 when it comes out, but it is because it felt like its own thing within Star Wars. I don't know, I think that just struck a chord with me. I just really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I remember when I was watching it, I didn't see any lightsabers at all, and it was I did enjoy one bit in the film, the series. Sorry, although I'd not seen the Star Wars films, I did know that stormtroopers were particularly bad shots. And there was one bit where the guy was like, "Well, he used to work for the Empire. He's a really good shot." And then the Mandalorian says, "Oh, he can't be that good." He's like, "Well, I'm not a fucking stormtrooper." I thought that was a funny bit. I've just come back to you, Jack. There, you didn't watch. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't watch this series when it first came out, and you've only watched it now due to us doing this recording. Do you think that perhaps that's down to the way it was advertised, or is there a reason that you didn't get around to watching it when it first came out?
So obviously the first season came out, I think, last October, but that was only on American Disney Plus. The UK didn't get their Disney Plus pretty much until the first weekend of when we went into lockdown. Everyone went crazy for it. I was like, at that point, I was like, oh, I'm just going to wait until we do eventually get Disney Plus in UK, then I'll watch The Mandalorian properly. I don't want to watch just off some website. I want to experience it for what it is. And for some reason, just out of probably just sheer laziness, that I've just found myself constantly watching The US Office all the time, that I just didn't end up watching it. I've always said, oh, I really want to watch Mandalorian. That's like kind of one of the reasons for me getting Disney Plus. And I never did. I felt like I needed a big kick up the arse pretty much to get it watched. And then when we were like, oh, let's just do the Mandalorian, it's only 8 episodes, so I was like, yes, fine, that's actually giving me an excuse to watch it, because if I don't watch it, I'm just going to embarrass myself on the episode anyway. But I embarrass myself all the time, so it makes no difference. But I'm very glad that I eventually did get round to watching the show at some point.
Yeah, well, we have no doubt that your pitch will end up embarrassing you, as it often does. Lewis, Shettleston's Undertaker, how are you?
I'm good. Glad to be back.
Glad to have you back. You watched it with The Mandalorian when it first came out on Disney Plus in the UK. Do you feel like it was worth watching straight away? Like, was it well marketed to the point where you thought, oh, I have to watch that? Or was it something you just kind of want to watch because you enjoyed Star Wars?
No, I mean, I am a fan of Star Wars to a degree. Those last 3 movies I'll erase from my memory. But Disney Plus, this is maybe a more greater point for Disney Plus itself. It's not like they have a lot of new content constantly rolling out, kind of like a Netflix or an Amazon can, where they can buy a series, add a series. So The Mandalorian was like a really big key selling point for Disney Plus to really be, yeah, you'll get the Marvel movies and all the classic Disney stuff, but we're also making this new show. And you kind of like, well, that looks kind of cool, and you go and watch it, and you see this masterclass of cinematography and new visual effects and set design, especially in the world of Star Wars. It kind of gave a reason for me to watch it, and I was quite excited about it. I think the marketing kind of nailed it on the point.
Oh, interesting. And I think the Baby Yoda memes also helped, but
yeah,
again,
the virality of
insufferable.
Baby Yoda. I mean, that's one thing Star Wars nails, is how to sell toys. I mean, you see them with all the what's those, like, I don't know, penguin-like things in the recent movies. Like, they sold toys. Baby Yoda obviously sells toys, and that's obviously part of Disney's strategy. But fortunately for them, in The Mandalorian, it actually serves a story narrative, which I think most people didn't really have a problem with.
How could you forget the porgs, Lewis? The
Because they
most important part of
no
the Jedi.
purpose. They're just.
Well, I love the porgs. I love the porgs. They're my favourite thing in the new trilogy.
Of course you did, Jeff.
He's a corporate man.
Aye.
Lewis, what particularly is it that you like about The Mandalorian? What's your the key thing that you like about it?
There is a lot to like about this. The acting and some of the new set designs they've done, but I did a little bit of research for this podcast, as we're kind of supposed to do. I found
Like Adam.
I found a YouTube channel called Corridor Crew.
I feel like I dig.
Yeah, he's notorious for just winging it. This Adam flashback last 6 years university. Anyway, Corridor Crew did. They make movies and react to visual effects, and they did a breakdown of some of the cool ways that the particular shooting of this movie worked. And they kind of did like a reverse projection where they actually put the scene in the environment. Instead of a green screen, they actually put the scene up like a projector, and actually the actors were able to act it. And I think it really helped the actors play the role out and the scene together. So there wasn't like a jarring kind of, I'm looking at a green screen and a fake thing in the distance. You can actually see where the sun is. You can actually see where the characters are moving. You can see where the path is. And sometimes the way that the cinematography adds to that, it just makes the whole experience way more grounded, and it really makes it look like, wow, this is a real Star Wars world. It's a real different place that I never would have seen before. I think that's something that really is noticeable in this film, is the visual effects, the set design, all the kind of add-ons as well as the acting.
Well, it's interesting that you brought that point up, and Stewart actually brought this up as well. He said that the cinematography was really good. I actually found myself kind of underwhelmed by the cinematography, and I'm not sure if it's because I just watched Avatar for the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, wow, the cinematography in this is really good. And I thought that they nailed, like it was obviously a different planet, and they kind of nailed that. Whereas when I was watching this, I kind of felt like it was a bit, you had an episode in the desert. Everything was kind of just dry. There wasn't like different. Like if you went to a different planet, it wasn't kind of like a different atmosphere. I don't know. Stuart, you said that you really enjoyed the cinematography. Am I just chatting shite here? Like I thought it was kind of underwhelming.
I think it varies. The problem with this show, well, I say problem. One of the things the show did was it had a lot of directors for different episodes, and I think perhaps some directors don't have as much cinematography under their belt. I do know that one of the episodes was directed by Ron Howard's daughter, Bryce Dallas Howard, who you'll know from Jurassic World. So I feel like some of these directors might not have been like as proven as other directors, and I feel sometimes it does show. Like there are some episodes where it does feel a bit samey. They don't do anything particularly groundbreaking with it. But then on the other side of that, you've got like directors like Jon Favreau. I don't think he directed any this season, but you've got Taika Waititi, who is a fantastic director, and I feel like he added a bit of his own flair to something which, especially to Star Wars, which I have a sinking feeling that it gets very samey. People are very scared to kind of like try new things with Star Wars because in fear of angering a lot of fans. So also you have to remember that as a TV show, like with a movie, you've got a bigger budget and you've got more resources under your belt. This wasn't a tried and tested formula for Disney and Lucasfilm. It was a brand new thing. So I feel like they played it a bit safer for the first season than they would have done if it were like a movie. So I agree with both you and Lewis. It can be a bit samey, and other times it did surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, I did. When I was watching, I did kind of say to myself, it definitely won't have the budget that Avatar had to kind of create that atmosphere of a different planet. But I just felt like maybe we could have had one of the planets being kind of like an Arctic planet. We'd had one that was forestry with the sand, but it felt a bit safe to me. But I can appreciate that the budget probably wasn't there for it, and for the most part, I did find that the cinematography was above the level of almost every other TV show I've watched. So you've got to appreciate that. Adam, we've heard the cinematography being a factor that people like. We've heard that acting is a factor people like, and the story. So I'm going to come to you because everyone's talking, licking this show's arse. Can you tell us something that's not good about it?
Yeah, I think I found I did really like the show. I sort of say that, and I think maybe one thing I thought the pacing of the series, and I think kind of it varies in strength. I think a good series it's always building up to a finale, but I feel like it's almost like a mini movie every episode, which is a good thing and a bad thing in the sense that you build up to the kind of big finale every episode. So I think when you get to the actual big finale of the show, it loses a bit. In every episode, you kind of know the formula, even though it's different directors. And I think maybe that's the reason why it's the cohesive vision of it. Maybe it isn't as strong because it's different voices, different inputs. And it's not quite the same thing, but I remember Michael Bay talking about one of the Transformers films, and he says, "Oh, we just throw 50 writers in a room and we see what they come out with." And it's like, well, maybe the problem is there's 50 writers, and I feel like maybe sometimes the problem with this is that there's so many directors. Not that I'm comparing it to Transformers, please, it's on another level. But yeah, I think maybe the pacing. I think that's maybe something I'd have a problem with.
I'll applaud that correction there.
Yeah, almost too many cooks spoil the broth. Do you feel like, Jack, that every episode was necessary in this? Like, I felt like some of the episodes, and particularly the one where they go to a prison and then they help escape or take someone out of the prison, and then I just felt like that episode wasn't very necessary to the overall plot. Did you feel like, as a show, it kind of, like Adam said, there was, and Stewart alluded to as well, different directors doing different things, so it didn't quite make it any sense almost?
Oh, I wish you never brought up that episode, but yes, I do hate it.
Sorry.
I do. That's.
Oh, you.
You're right. I feel like there is a lot of it I did enjoy. In particular, I think my favourite episode was either episode 3 or episode 4. I can't mind, but the one where they visit the farm planet, and that's when they're trying to initially escape the bounty hunters. It was very just chill and peaceful. I felt that played a lot into like the character of the Mandalorian himself in that. But episode 6, by God, that was a bloody drag and just useless in general. Did not enjoy it whatsoever. It made no difference. So he called up his pal or whatever to go and do a mission, pretty much. He gets screwed over trying to rescue this prisoner, and then he chucks the tracker that's been following them this time into this ship that they're all in, and then the gang blows up and the other gang's left in the prison. I hated it. I didn't like it. It was annoying. It was too long. Oh.
It's interesting that you liked the farmland planet. I also felt like that was just a bit long. It was just a bit. I was underwhelmed. I thought the fight in it was quite good, but other than that, I felt this is a bit boring. So I was interested to hear that you liked that one.
No, 100%. That's probably my favourite episode out the lot. I think. There's something that I watched it and I just felt. I was going to say I felt at peace, but that makes it seem as if I'm just happy with life. I felt at peace. I felt chill, tranquil, and all that. It was just very. I don't know. It felt pretty kind of heartwarming in the way that like he was kind of going. Not that he was going against what he knew, but he was like adapting to care for Baby Yoda in a way.
Yes,
I don't know. I felt it was a change in character, and it was he was heading the kind of direction that he was needing to go. And that was probably the start of it, which I enjoyed. And then also you got introduced to Clara June as well, and how that plays into the future of the series. That episode by far is my favourite.
It's interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of character development in that episode. Quite often when I'm watching character development scenes in movies and stuff like that, I'm like, we know where this is going. But I guess they are still important to maybe the more simple-minded viewers. Never mind. Okay. So we've heard the positives, we've heard the negatives, but one thing that I think it was Lewis who picked up on was the acting was a big positive for him. Lewis, how did you enjoy the performance of Pedro Pascal as the Mandalorian?
Honestly, it's you have to give him credit for this because he spends 99%. Oh, there's maybe a spoiler. We can't really avoid spoilers at this point. 99% of the time, he's wearing a mask. So a lot of the key of acting is in, how you display emotion through your face or how you maybe react to situations. He has to do it purely with just body mannerisms as well as audio cues, be it from music and some of that, which was really good. And I think I can't really think of someone off the top of my head who I think who could maybe be put in that situation, but he did an absolute masterful job, in my opinion, of being able to convey the emotion and character development in a more delicate, intricate way than you're used to seeing in more obvious film tropes, like your facial design, or even in how you just naturally develop. I think he did a really good way of using his body language and tied in with the music to do a pretty fantastic job given the circumstances of, hey, your face is covered 24/7.
Yeah, I agree. I thought when I was watching that, I was like, I actually felt a connection to the character, which is very difficult to create when you can't see his face and you can't show your emotions. So I thought that it's particularly his voice acting and his body mannerisms were particularly good during this. But Stuart, do you think Shia LaBeouf could have done a better job?
100%. 100%. He would have worn nothing but the mask.
Oh,
I feel like that. I feel like he would have stipulated that. But yeah,
did he not wear a paper bag over his face at a movie premiere once, or like an award ceremony or something?
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf. Yeah.
something like that. Something like that.
We've met our Transformers crossover quota. We cannot.
Yeah.
Oh, way to spoil my pitch, Lewis.
Megatron comes back. Anyway.
Season 2 is Michael Bay, 50 writers, and Shia LaBeouf is the Mandalorian.
Adam
I
can do the voice of Michael Bay.
I actually watched a very good Shia LaBeouf movie last weekend, The Peanut Butter Falcon. I never knew there was such a thing as a good Shia LaBeouf movie, but I was proven wrong.
If we're plugging Shia LaBeouf movies, Disturbia is quite good as well.
Disturbia is good.
Can I just say on the topic of like who could have done a good job is the Mandalorian? I think someone who did it. We're just talking about good actors here. Well, Carl Urban. How many have you seen Red?
Yeah.
Because he plays Judge Red, and it's only his mouth on show, which he always keeps in a straight line. That's just the character is very flat emotionally, and Carl Urban does a great job at that. I think it's maybe I think the Mandalorian's a tougher ask because he's kind of asked to do more complicated things as a character, like dreads the law. That's how he has to be. But I just Carl Urban, I think that's enough. He did a good job.
I thought you said Red, the retired and extremely dangerous movie with Morgan Freeman and all that in it.
Carl Urban's not in that. Why did you agree? Why
Because I thought you said Red. I was like, have you seen the movie Red? And I was like, yeah, I've seen Red. Then I was listening. I was like, wait a minute.
This isn't red. This isn't even red too.
This is blue.
One thing I will say on piggybacking on Lewis's point is Pedro Pascal does do a really, really good job. One thing that I don't think gets enough credit is I was watching the behind the scenes for The Mandalorian, and there's actually 2 stunt doubles. One to handle the fighting scenes and one to handle the gun scenes, and I feel like they both do an incredible job because the character looks like he knows how to fight and how to shoot. It's so seamless. So I think props to those guys as well. They don't get enough credit.
That's a very good point because up until you said that, I would have just assumed it was the same person. So that's a very good point. Adam mentioned the name Carl there, so I want to pick up on the fact that Carl Weathers is in this film and he is just terrible. Series, sorry. And he's just terrible. He's terrible. He's not a good actor. Everyone said that acting in this is good. He's not a good actor. Adam, you brought him up, so what did you think of his performance?
Carl Urban. But,
well, you brought up Carl.
my favourite bit of Carl Weathers' performance is when he comes in with American, he got Stars and Stripes shorts on to Living in America, and then he boxes Ivan Drago. I think that's my favourite bit of this Carl Weathers' performance. Yeah, definitely got to watch Mandalorian, guys. That's the best thing. Keep an eye out for that.
Right, well, I mean, we'll just move on from that then.
Jack, you just completely shat on what Rhys has wanted to talk about just now.
Sorry, ask me again. I'm ready.
Jack, what are you excited for the season 2?
Oh get it up, yeah, Adam. But yes, I'm very excited for season 2. Also, as I said before, it's kind of played more on to getting. It's going to get Yoda back to the people that he belongs with. So the Jedi, pretty much, and we've seen in the trailer a lot. Also, we all know that I'm quite a wrestling fan, and Sasha Banks is going to be in this, and she's amazing. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope that they get more WWE folk in, like Big E and Kofi Kingston. Why not? Because just get them all in. I'm really looking forward to this. Yeah.
Crickets.
Yeah, I think we're all looking forward to Sacha Baron Cohen's performance in season 2. Stuart, any predictions for season 2? Do you have any kind of rough idea of maybe what it is you want to happen, not really what you expect to happen? Or would that lead into your pitch too much?
No, two predictions I have is one is I'm kind of hoping for more than outright predicting it, but I'd like the show to be bolder. The first season was like a huge hit, so Disney knows that there's a substantial audience along for the ride. So hopefully that means they take bigger risks and they can trust the audience to roll with the punches. On the other hand, though, Disney could just see a 10-season run of the show and have dollar signs in their eyes, which means they take it real slow and drag it out. I hope that doesn't happen. An actual prediction, I think Boba Fett's coming back. Jack was talking about episodes in the middle of the season. I really hated that prison episode, but I really didn't like the Tatooine episode either. And I think that episode purely exists, and I'll put money on this. I think it purely exists just to foreshadow Boba Fett coming back, and I'm all for it. Because it's Boba Fett. I think he deserves better than what he got last time, and I'm sure you could work out some kind of like duality with Mandalorian culture with him and Pedro Pascal.
Well, if anyone knows Stuart, he doesn't put money on anything, so he is a tight bastard. Lewis, any predictions?
I know Jack mentioned there that he wants the Jedi to make appearance. I don't. In terms of the timeline between the shows and the movies, it seems to sit between the end of the original trilogy and the start of the most recent one. I don't want to see the Jedi come back. I just want to see an actual race of Yoda. Just a planet of nothing but Yoda.
Well, technically, we are going there because at the end, he's like, "Oh, I've got to take Baby Yoda to his home planet." So we should technically see that. So hopefully that comes to you.
I would like that. I would maybe also like to see the original Yoda come back, kind of like how they did with the Skywalker coming back as like a sort of hologram type force projection thing. I think that would be kind of cool to tie it all in. But it kind of like what Stuart said there. I want them to make it a bit more, take a bit more risk, be a bit more bolder, because they played it pretty safe with the first season, kept it pretty. They didn't go too deep in lore. They just kind of kept it pretty straightforward. But I like to take more risks, and I like them to see it as an opportunity to maybe try other Star Wars side stories. Maybe introduce some somewhat known characters, not necessarily Boba Fett, but like someone else who's kind of on that level, who's maybe been featured in the background. They could then get his own side story, be it like a fighter pilot type story with some of the old Rebel fighters, for example. Something along those lines that could maybe kind of spin off and start creating a kind of Star Wars TV franchise.
Very interesting. Okay, I think we will move on to the pitches now. I'm not going to ask Adam about his predictions because he's lost all rights in this podcast. He might not even get asked about his pitches. Who knows? So I think we will move on to our pitches. Our guest last week, David, who we're very grateful to have on, said that he'll be listening in because he doesn't think that you could improve The Mandalorian. He said it was perfect. So I'm very interested to see what you guys have to say here. I think we will come to this man first, purely on the basis that he has never won, so he deserves the right to go first. So, Jack, you've got 2 minutes. Hit us with your pitch.
2 minutes? Jesus, right, okay. So, as I said, with Rhys talking about episode 6 of Prisoner, I absolutely hate it. I'm changing that. It's just not a thing anymore. It's never happened. So, we see the start, as the series is so far, we see the start episode 7 is when he gets the hologram message from the actor that you said you didn't like, that Chris Withers or something.
Carl Withers.
Carl Withers. Aye. Stop! I don't have enough time, Adam. Shut up. And obviously that was a hologram thing, and he was saying, "Oh, we need you to come back because we're going to do something about protecting Yoda and passing the parcel over and all that. And that's when he goes to the farm planet to get Cara Dune. I'm having it he goes to that planet in episode 6, and we're going to call the episode Return. So at that point he's getting Cara Dune. But the prison storyline's still kind of playing a part. It's just that the original gang that he teamed up with to break out the twin brother, that gang are just doing it themselves and break out the twin brother anyway, but none of them get trapped in the prison. They all go back to their normal ship. So whilst that's happening, the Mandalorian's trying to recruit Cara Dune to come back, and he's saying, look, I need to get you on board if I'm going to do this, because I don't trust what's going to happen over there if I go myself. And she's kind of tossing and swaying about it all, and then he's like rekindling that kind of interest you see with the farm girl that kind of started looking after Yoda and himself when he was there previous. This gang that broke the prisoner out, they track the bounty of the Mandalorian as he has that bounty at time, and they go to the farm planet just to try and take him out, because it's obviously, as it's shown in the episode previous, that the Mandalorian used to do work for this gang and kind of turned on them, blah blah blah. So it's kind of a bit of a personal vendetta. So this gang invades the planet. But whilst this tracker's going on, obviously the Imperial's able to do the tracker as well, and they come and attack the planet at the same time. So there's just another huge all-out fight on this planet. And that farm girl is able to get her kind of village troops to hold off them for as long as possible for the Mandalorian, Baby Yoda, and Cara Dune to get off the planet. This fight continues, but we don't know what happens until the next season. We'll see what happens. And this is the point where they go on the ship to go and recruit Quill, and that's my pitch.
Okay, let me get this straight. So instead of the Mandalorian going to the prison, he goes to the farm planet. Whilst he's going there to meet up with Cara Dune to convince her to come back to the home planet, the prison escape is still happening. They escape and they track down the Mandalorian, or really it's the Baby Yoda, because that's what they're wanting. And they come and they start a big fight on the farm planet.
Yes.
Right, okay. All right. Very interesting. Anyone got any comments?
How do I fit that in a Twitter poll?
Just put
new episode.
New episode 6.
New episode 6.
Anyone got any comments?
Revenge of
about
the
actual
Jedi.
plot? Revenge of the Jedi. I guess not. Okay. Jack, you've got off lately there. No one criticising you. Normally they've got a lot to say in this. I will
Where's
come
David?
to...
Tell me it's a really good pitch, Jack. Now I just won't bloody win. That's all.
Well,
Jack, it's a
you
really
can
good
say
pitch.
that, so maybe you've got a chance of winning. We'll come to the current champ and the people's champ. Stewart, fire away. What's your pitch? How do you improve Mandalorian Season 1?
One of the biggest flaws I have of the show is in the middle of the season, the show kind of lulls a bit, what we've talked about. So for my pitch, I'm getting rid of the 2 episodes I didn't like, which is the Tatooine and the prison ship episodes. And I'm shuffling the season up a bit. So I'm going to take those 2 empty episode slots, and instead I'm going to put them at the beginning of the season, so that we start off with these episodes and they're going to be Mando taking on bounty hunter contracts. With these episodes, though, you're going to see Pedro Pascal be a bit more ruthless and more cold towards the missions, because he's there purely to get the job done and benefit from the rewards, which is the same as the show, better armor. He wants this armor purely to be able to handle more bounties, which will give him better rewards and so on. That's all he's focused on. It's a bit like me when I play Destiny. I'll do anything as long as it gets me better loot. So these bounties aren't going to be like the other bounties. However, they're going to be very much a grey area, as in he's most likely going to be doing them for bad people, and the targets he's bringing in will sometimes be innocents. So I want Mando to be a bit of a bastard at the start of the season, because we had him be cold at the very start of the first episode where he brings in that annoying blue fish guy. But pretty much as soon as Baby Yoda comes in, you see him soften up almost immediately, which I feel doesn't give him much character growth. So round about the 3rd episode is when we'll get the Baby Yoda mission now. And of course, that's when he gets offered the Beskar as a reward. And he's like, oh, this is it. I've been busting my space ass trying to get better armor, and this is the best of the best. You know, no more ASOS armor for me. This is some Kenzo stuff up here. This is some All Saints merch. So have the rest of the episode play out the same. You know, he does the mission, he meets IG-11, finds out the bounties, Baby Yoda, and in that split-second decision, he decides to save the baby from the droid, thus now hinting 3 episodes in that there's something different here and that his character's now changing for the better. So that would be my main pitch. I just add a little kind of note that when he then hands Baby Yoda back to the Empire guy, another thing I didn't like is he gets his cake and eats it too, in the sense that he profits from getting all of the Beskar armor and then getting Baby Yoda back no problem. So another little tweak I'd like to make is that he only gets half of the Beskar when he delivers the asset. And you could say that's the Empire playing hardball, being like, don't worry, you'll get the rest when we've run the tests and we're happy with what you've brought. But really, it's just another reason not to trust them. So Mando goes and gets half of his armor reworked, which I think accomplishes 2 things. One, it makes him less invincible because he doesn't really have anything to worry about in combat once he gets his full Beskar armor. So he only gets half of that. And then 2, it shows him now sacrificing that one thing he cared about for the well-being of Baby Yoda. So that's my pitch.
Well, he said he doesn't have anything to worry about, but he doesn't like mud. It makes all his weapons not work. So there's still that. So if I get this right, you would take out the Tatooine and the prison episode, and you would move them to the start, where you would have 2 episodes where you show the ruthlessness of the bounty hunting that the Mandalorian does initially, which would improve the character development later on in the series.
Yeah, 100%.
Excellent. Anyone got any positives or negatives?
I like that we don't have the prisoner episode.
There we go. And the goes and has his little farm life, because I know you like the quiet life. So
stop trying to get the votes. Right?
I do like the farm life. I'm a simple farmer, man. It's like that episode of Red Dead Redemption 2 when he's building the house at the spoilers at the end of the epilogue when John's building the house and it's that song.
Yeah, the
like
Mandalorian sings that.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I would be coming, Stuart, and say I like it, but you just, if we're talking about people watching it, do you not think maybe some people would lose interest with the first 2 episodes if they think maybe that's what the show's going to be? How do you have anything there to make people want to come back for like the kind of epic tale? Because people might think, this is just a bounty hunter thing. If he's just going to get a different bounty every episode, I don't want to watch this, you know?
Well, it's Star Wars, like, you know.
You've already got the
Star
side
Wars.
days.
Just written that down.
Well, we've already covered the fact that you don't need to have watched Star Wars to watch this. So if your backup there is that it's Star Wars, surely that would mean that you're losing all the potential new viewers.
No, because you've got the sex appeal of Pedro Pascal as well.
Well, he's got a mask on.
Yeah, that's more sex appeal.
Kinky. It's actually
all the Mandalorians are kinky buggers.
Lewis, anything to say in that?
No, I like the idea. It does fall a bit short. A bit fair. It does give Mandalorian more reason to develop and actually have a more substantial development, which is kind of tying into my pitch a little bit, not much, but I think one of the big things I was fearful of with Mandalorian was that it's going to be almost like Firefly or like Stargate, where it's just like go to new area, have problem, fix problem, go home, go to new area, find problem, fix problem, and I didn't want that to kind of be the problem with Mandalorian, where it's apparently you go there to do so.
Did you not say that about the MMORPGs as well? I feel like you just don't like people doing tasks.
No, I just don't like it being repetitive, boring, and meaningless.
Okay, then Lewis, how would you improve Season 1 of Mandalorian?
Well, to be honest, I feel bad because I agree with David on The Mandalorian. It is a really good series, and unfortunately I wasn't on the episode to get a chance to discuss DC with him, which is upsetting because I think we both would have shared some interesting dialogue. Anyway, my particular pitch for Mandalorian is I feel like the episode plays it too safe and just relies on the mystery and what if to be a reason to keep watching. It doesn't really give you true motivation or, I don't know, really in more depth explain character development. So what my pitch essentially would be is I would like to have more, I don't know, for lack of a better word, crumbs fed to the audience, to care about Yoda's survival beyond all cute. Like, we care about Baby Yoda because he's cute, not because of what it could represent or could be. I would like that to become slowly more apparent throughout the series, so that when series 2 came, I was like, oh, what's really going to happen, rather than like, oh, we get to find out what might happen. It would give me a reason to watch season 2. And I think it would give me more of a reason to keep watching the episodes of season 1, is to actually kind of drip feed more story key information as to why Yoda's there, what they want with him. And I'd also like, this is just a personal preference, I would also like maybe a bit more information on the background and survival of those Mandalorians that are on that planet together, how that came about with the fall of the Empire and why they're there.
Okay, so your main pitch is that you would like the show to maybe feed us reasons for wanting Baby Yoda to survive, other than the fact that he's very cute.
Pretty much.
Okay, anyone got any comments?
I don't like that you still have episode 6 involved in this.
All right, okay. More reasons to care about Baby Yoda. Cancel episode 6.
There we go. That sounds a lot. That sounds a lot better now. You've no problems with me, my friend. No problems with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, we've heard everyone's pitches, so oh, there's the other guy as well. Right, Adam, pitch.
Right, I love the Mandalorian. I mean, like Lewis, I found it hard to improve anything. I think we all did. We all had but as I said, I kind of didn't like the pacing. And one of the things I mentioned briefly was that the big finale, for me, it didn't have the same punch. It almost felt the same as like the finale in episode 2, where they fight with the Mandalorians coming in. I just felt like it lacked the real punch that you want in a big finale. And I thought the way I would make that work a bit better, raise the stakes a little, is with adding another faction in. And I'm going to go for the Black Sun crime syndicate. And if you know your Star Wars, they've been about forever. They used to be run by Darth Maul after he survived his fall in episode 1, but he's gone now. They've been about forever, and I think they would naturally be involved. They would hear about the child, they would hear about the amount of money involved. I think they would get involved. And they also, at the time, chronologically, they had one of their top leaders was a bounty hunter who was a Zabrak, which is actually the same race as Darth Maul, called Yasimari. And I think he would hear about that through his bounty contacts. He would want to get involved. I think we'd have a kind of hint at it. They would maybe build up to it the last few episodes. This other faction, who are they? What do they do? And then they would come in, they would appear in this last battle. And instead of like having this kind of cat and mouse, I think it would add another party who've also, they've worked with the Mandalorians in the past. I think it would give it a bit more, just a bit more chaotic feel, a bit more of a kind of war zone. And I think as someone who loved the action in this, I think kind of bigger scale, more action, I think I would really enjoy it. I think that's something that raises the stakes to get me more excited, because I felt it fell with the finale. It felt like the other finales we've had already. I think this would give it a different feel.
Okay, so what your pitch here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you thought the finale was kind of underwhelming, so you would like to get the Black Sun crime syndicate involved for the final boss fight to create a more chaotic final fight and make the climax of the season just that little bit better rather than the same as every other episode.
Yeah, that's exactly perfect.
Wonderful. Yeah. Anyone got any comments?
I have a comment and a question.
Okay, go for it.
My first comment is, one of the strong points of The Mandalorian is the fact that it's very narrative character focused, with obviously Mandalorian and Yoda being the two key things. My question is, adding another faction, is it just for the finale build-up moment, or are you adding that to the length of the series, and are you potentially worried about that taking away from the narrative focus of the series itself?
No, I feel like their main part to play would be in the finale, but I think you could maybe add even something like a little minute, like a little in each episode, where we can, or each episode, maybe the last 3 or 4, where it cuts to the Black Sun and like or Kusti Yasamari, we don't know anything about him. We just think it's another bounty hunter to begin with, and then as it amps up, and it does amp up toward the end, you feel like you're getting more about the Black Sun, and you feel like, okay, they're a serious player. And I just think that it's maybe something it kind of blindsides you, but you're maybe not sure what part they have to play exactly. You think, oh, they're bounty hunter, we're not sure. And then they come in, and I just think that their main part, I agree, their main part is the finale and that last episode, but I don't think they would take away from the narrative too much, no.
See this group.
I have. Oh, sorry, on you go, Jack.
Sorry, Stuart. See this group. I can't remember. He said some black crime group. Black Sun.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like, babe, I don't know much about it myself, so this could be a very stupid question that I'm asking. During this time of how old Yoda is, Yoda's 50 and is a baby, but like I'm on a website now for episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and Yoda's 864. So that's like 814 years difference between them 2 points. Is that group still?
Well, Jack, okay, I've got a couple of... This give a revelation for you, which is that the Baby Yoda isn't Baby Yoda. He's a clone of Yoda. So the Mandalorian's actually set after the end of Return of the Jedi and before the start of The Force Awakens. So this is a clone that the Empire have made of Yoda.
We don't know that.
Well, we don't know that.
No,
Sorry,
no,
that's the hint. But it's implied. It's not
Yoda.
The
same, like.
I thought Quill said that it was too ugly to be like engineered. I thought he said it was an actual natural thing.
All right.
Like
well, sorry, apologies, but
Adam doesn't know Star Wars. He's sticking for the records.
Point still stands.
But the point is that it's not the same Yoda. It's not Yoda, Jack.
Right. Okay, that's fine. It doesn't matter then. I didn't know that.
Jack, I appreciate your question.
Yeah, Jack. No, did some research.
I wasn't even doing that even just to like try and like be a dick and try to screw up your pitch. I genuinely didn't know.
It's a fair question. No, Jack. Honestly, sorry.
I appreciate you getting involved.
Thank you, man.
No problem. Right, so I'll go through the pictures.
I just have one.
Stuart,
I have a question. Sorry. I've actually forgotten my question. Right, so yeah, you're saying about. I agree with what you're saying about the finale. I personally feel that the finale is quite overstuffed in a sense, as they've got so much to resolve, and then as soon as Gus from Breaking Bad's ship crashes, the episode is immediately over, and then Carl Weathers is like, oh hey, she's gonna stick around, you better go and do your thing, and then like that literally all wraps up within like a minute. And I personally felt that they should have paced that episode a bit more so that there's a better resolution. Do you think that adding another like crime syndicate and more action to an already like very heavy episodes will affect it even, like will detract from it even more?
I don't think necessarily detract from it even more. I think that it's fair that some of those problems might stay with the end of the narrative, but I think you could almost say it's intentional from the writers that they left a few of these questions unanswered. They tried to wrap up quickly, and there's a few things maybe you want to know, and I think that's kind of to keep you come back for season 2. I don't necessarily think that would make that problem worse. I'll be honest, I would agree maybe it doesn't solve the problem of that one particular issue, but I feel like it wouldn't affect it negatively either.
Okay then. Right, I will go through the pitches one more time. While I'm doing that, you lot send me your votes. So we've got Jack, who's never won before, by the way, everyone. So his one was to get rid of the prisoner episode and go to the farm planet instead, where the prison escape's happening in the background. While he's doing that, he's convincing June to come back to the home planet, and the prison gang go to the farm planet to get Baby Yoda, and there's a big fight. Stewart is to get rid of the Tatooine and prison episode, where he would move those 2 episodes then to the start, where you could see the real ruthlessness of the Mandalorian while he does bounty hunting, to get a stronger character development later on in the series. Lewis, he felt that it was too safe, and he wanted to know why we wanted the Baby Yoda to survive so much, and we needed more reasons for the Baby Yoda to survive. He would also cancel episode 6, Jack. So
Thank
he would
you.
also do that. And Adam, he said that the finale was underwhelming. He wanted the Black Sun crime syndicate to get involved in the final boss fight to create a more chaotic war zone for the final fight to make the climax of the season better and not just the same as every other episode. I mentioned it earlier on, are on Twitter and Instagram at _the big picture. This week we put up a poll to see who everyone's favourite character was. Very disappointing results, to be honest. 62% of you voted for Baby Yoda. I couldn't believe it. IG11 got 9% of the votes. I couldn't believe he's by far the best character. I just couldn't. I'm very upset. So, yeah, I think the votes are in. Let me have a look. Right. Okay. So
Drum roll,
I'm not
please.
sure what to do here because we have a 4-way tie. Just shows you how strong the pitches were this week. A 4-way tie. Okay.
I think it should come to you for the final
Yeah.
one. That's what we said at the start.
Come
If
to
it was a
me.
tie.
Do we actually? I
Yeah.
thought this was another beat a bit by Rhys.
No, this is genuinely a 4-way tie. I'm like quadruple checking. Yeah, 4-way tie. Genuinely. Right, come to me. Okay, right. Okay. Right, I'll start with Stewart. Right, starting with you, it probably doesn't sound good, Stewart. You probably know where this is going. I agree with Adam. When you first made this point, I thought this is a good idea, but 2 episodes of bounty hunting would have had me click off. I don't think I'd have watched it after that. I'd been like, well, this is just a series based around bounty hunting. If I wanted that, I'd go watch Dog the Bounty Hunter. I do agree with you. I do think that there needs to be a better character development. I think it does in the first episode go from, oh, I hate people, I don't care, this is the way, to, oh, actually, well, maybe it's not the way. And for all we know, like, obviously they allude to the fact that he's done a load of bounties before, but for all we know, he's only ever done 2 bounties that we've seen, and he's gone from, oh, I don't care to, oh, I do care. So, yeah, I agree that it did need better character development, but I feel like 2 episodes of it, probably not the best. I would have preferred if you'd gone for 1 of just bounty hunting.
That's a lot. It's a lot of words that you've thrown my way. When what you really meant to say was, Stuart, I'm not voting for you because you took both my victories from me for the past week, so that's why you're not getting my vote.
Sure, I'm not voting for you because you're a simp. Right? Adam.
So you don't vote for Adam because he's the anti-simp. He couldn't come up with a poem on command.
Yeah. I'm not voting for Adam because he slewed my question about Carl Weathers, which I thought was a good question.
Sorry.
I agree with, I believe it was Stuart who said that would make the final episode more chaotic than it already is. There's a lot in that episode. I felt like the final boss fight actually went on for a bit longer. And I feel like you had mentioned that the Black Sun Crime Syndicate would be there for the last 3 episodes. It would kind of start alluding to it for the final fight. And there's nothing I hate more than when you're halfway through a season and they go, oh, there's also this other thing that's happening in the background that's going to come up in the final end of the season that they've not mentioned before. So, yeah, it's a bit all too much, too late on, and we just kind of make the final fight just a bit too much, really. Yeah. I mean, David threw my pitch.
I was going to say, better your pitch.
Yeah. For the same reason, and I would find I would be a bit of a hypocrite if I voted for it now. So, but I did think there was a good idea because I thought, as well as you, that the final boss fight was underwhelming, and it was just the same as every other episode almost. And maybe the fight in episode 2, I believe it was, that's potentially a better fight than the one in the end. So, but it would have been too much, unfortunately. Now, between Jack and Lewis, Okay. The reason I'm not picking this one is based on the fact that it was a concept with nothing behind it. Lewis, you've said you would like the show to give us more of a reason to want Baby Yoda to survive. Other than the fact that he's a baby and you can't just really give babies to bad guys and let them experiment on them, you wanted more, which is a fair point because we don't really know anything about Baby Yoda. We do only know that he's cute and he's a baby. But you've not really said what you would like the show to give us. You've just said you would want something. And whilst the idea is good, and I do agree with it, I think I would have liked for you to have given me something like a concept. Like one of the reasons we want Baby Yoda to survive is because he, I don't know.
It's harder than it sounds, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's your pitch. It's not my pitch. Yeah, I don't know, but you know what I mean. One of the reasons we want Baby Yoda to survive is because of his healing abilities. We also want him to survive because of his. He's obviously a nice character because he was healing the good guys.
If I can
when
give
they
you
were doing the when he was doing the arm wrestle, he starts choking Cara Dune because he thinks that Cara Dune's attacking him. The Mandalorian, that is. So they do give us reasons to why the Baby Yoda's a good person, or well, not person, but you know what I mean. Why we'd want him to survive. But if you were to pitch that we wanted a reason for him to survive, but given me a reason, then I potentially would have voted for you.
Well, fine. Seems a bit nitpicky. I feel like I've been graded like I'm in high school English again. But I would just like to clarify, my point isn't why Yoda is a good person, it's more of like why we care about his importance to the current world. Now, I could think of a few reasons, but I just want to clarify that point. Anyway,
You want the poll for that's a reason.
Okay, so that means this week's Big Picture champion was voted for purely on the basis that he'd never won before. Jack Graham.
Yeah! Come on!
Jack,
Come
I
on.
think we can all agree that the prisoner episode was the worst episode. I don't think anyone can disagree with that. You made everyone else take out of their series as well. The character relationship between the farm girl and the Mandalorian, Cara Dune alludes to the fact that the Mandalorian could give up and he could just spend the rest of his life with that farm girl. And then that's the last time we ever see of her. He's just like, nah, actually, I'm not going there. He almost lets her take off her helmet, but then that's the last we ever see of her. There's no other mention of it again. And you had mentioned how we would see more of that in there, as well as the prison gang rivalry coming back. I mean, how he ended up teaming up with them when they all hated him is beyond me. Like, them fighting against each other makes a lot more sense. So I feel like there was a lot of good points that you'd made there, Jack, and that's why you are this week's Big Picture champion by default.
Thank you. I always said by default victory is no one's like the podcast. It's fun now. We're finished. But it's taken 5 episodes of me not hosting to finally get a victory, and I feel like it's well earned.
I think so too, but clearly no one else is coming to congratulate you, so they obviously disagree.
I'm not applauding that.
I just assumed it was Jack that was clapping.
I wasn't even clapping. I was just
Rhys Cook ultimate simp for Jack Graham.
I needed a point. Lewis, you didn't really come up with a pitch, you came up with half a pitch. Get over it.
Whoa. Close a coming out now.
Okay.
As I said earlier on, I felt at peace watching that farm episode where I can finally say I feel at peace now.
Jack Graham announces his retirement from the Big Picture podcast.
We're out on top.
I think, Jack, it's a well-deserved and well-earned victory for you. So congratulations to you. And thanks to everyone else for joining me. Like I said before, we are on Instagram, Twitter, @_the Big Picture Podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Anchor. If you can find a podcast somewhere, we're probably on there. Give us a follow. Let us know what you would have done with the Mandalorian. And next week, what are we doing, Jack?
Well, I can confirm that our next episode will be hosted by Stewart Fitzgerald.
Oh.
And it will be on the Big Picture's take of Grand Theft Auto 6.
Ooh. I've got a good one for that.
Coming next August.
We already had yours, Rhys. Toxic
Been delayed
servers.
4 times.
Toxic servers, get in them. Just have everyone fight each other all the time. Okay. Thank you all for being here and sharing this lovely experience with me. Thank you for also introducing me to The Mandalorian. It was a great series. Would recommend. Give it a watch on Disney Plus. Not sponsored. And until next time, thank you all for listening and goodbye.